Showing on Law Weekly today, highlights of the 53rd Annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association. On our interview segment, we talked to Jiti Ogunye about the drama playing out in Taraba State following the return of Governor Danbaba Suntai. That's the lineup, but first, a quick recap of some of the top legal stories in the news. I'm Shola Sheyele and you're watching Law Weekly on Channels Television. We begin from the Supreme Court, which last week Thursday affirmed the election of the Ondo State Governor Olusegun Mimiko of the Labour Party after dismissing the appeals filed by his opponents Rotimi Akeredolu of the defunct Action Congress of Nigeria (ACN) and Olushola Oke of the People's Democratic Party (PDP). Akeredolu and Oke had separately approached the Supreme Court to appeal the July 1, 2013 decision of the Court of Appeal Akure, which upheld Governor Mimiko's election. The appellate court had dismissed both petitions for lack of merit. While Akeredolu and the ACN alleged that the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) connived with the governor and his party to manipulate the voter register used in the election, Oke and the PDP had alleged substantial non-compliance with the Electoral Act in the conduct of the election, and also claimed that they won the poll based on the number of valid votes cast. In the judgment, the Supreme Court held that the allegation of manipulation of the voters' register was not enough proof that the election did not comply with the Electoral Act. The court also dismissed the case of the PDP as it held that it failed to prove its allegations. Staying with politics, the Federal High Court in Abuja last week Friday stopped the suspension of Senator Andy Uba, his brother Chris and 3 others by the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party. The PDP National Working Committee had last week Thursday suspended the 5 for conducting a parallel state congress for the nomination of a governorship candidate in Anambra State. Andy Uba, who is seeking election as governor of the state in the November 16, 2013 poll, emerged the party's candidate in the controversial congress. However, Justice Ahmed Mohammed has granted an interim order stopping their suspension pending the hearing and determination of a motion in which the 5 PDP members challenged the disciplinary action taken against them by the party. The judge also restrained the disciplinary committee of the PDP from proceeding to take any action that may jeopardize the plaintiff's membership status at the PDP pending the next court hearing on the 5th of September. In neighboring Ghana, the country's Supreme Court last week dismissed an appeal by the opposition seeking to annul President John Mahama's narrow victory in last year's disputed election. The New Patriotic Party (NPP) and its leader Nana Akufo-Addo had alleged that Mr. Mahama won the election fraudulently, a charge his party, National Democratic Congress (NDC), denied. Ghana is generally seen as a beacon of democracy in the region, and so in a rare sign of judicial transparency, the hearings and the judgment was broadcast live on television and radio. The 9 judges of Ghana's Supreme Court ruled that President Mahama had been validly elected after beating the NPP's Nana Akufo-Addo by 50.7% to 47.7% in the December 2012 election. After the verdict was announced, crowds of governing National Democratic Congress supporters emerged to stand on the court stairs singing and waving white handkerchiefs.
Lagos State, a population figure of 9 million.
Back here in Nigeria, and 8 years after the last national census in the country, the National Census Tribunal has declared null and void the head count in 14 local government areas of Lagos State. The tribunal ordered the Nigerian Population Commission (NPC) to conduct a fresh census in the area to ascertain the true population figures. The Lagos State government had, on behalf of 19 out of the 20 old local government areas, which covers 40 out of the new 57 councils in the state, sought the intervention of the National Census Tribunal to nullify the 2006 census figure of about 9 million allotted to the state by the NPC. The Lagos State government made the move after some petitions were written by the local government alleging irregularities, which resulted in the exclusion of many residents from the exercise. The tribunal sat for about 18 months and has finally passed judgment in all 19 cases. And we round off with news of the continuous call for the release of legal practitioner Mike Ozekome. The senior advocate of Nigeria was kidnapped on Friday, the 23rd of August, by unknown gunmen along the Benin-Auchi road. The Nigerian Bar Association (NBA) has condemned the kidnap, describing it as a sad commentary on the state of national security in the country. The NBA asked the federal government to ensure that Mr. Ozekome is released and returned to his family unhurt.
Nigeria is the only country in the world where you pay colossally to criminals.
Paramount rulers and residents of Esako local government area of Edo State have also joined in the appeal for the release of the kidnapped lawyer. Welcome back. The week-long annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association, which held in Calabar, the capital of Cross River State, came to an end last week Friday with some thought-provoking solutions for the challenges facing the nation. Indeed, the theme of the 53rd conference was Law, Leadership and Challenges of Nationhood in the 21st Century Nigeria. Here's some of the highlights from the conference. The 2013 Annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association brought together over 10,000 legal practitioners specializing in various fields of practice from within and outside the country to reflect and map out strategies, all aimed at confronting the challenges facing the members of the legal profession as well as the country as a whole.
This year's conference theme is Law, Leadership and Challenges of Nationhood in the 21st Century Nigeria. The question agitating our mind is, apart from the absence of adequate legal framework and lack of quality leadership, what other challenges are impeding development to this Nigeria? As we move into the 21st century, in this age of globalization, this should be a matter of concern to all of us. The Nigerian Bar Association, taking on some of these issues, supports the proposed review of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria by the National Assembly. It is the position of the Bar that more than anything else, Nigeria needs amendment of some important aspects of the Constitution in the interest of democracy consolidation.
The president of the Nigerian Bar Association made a case for the independence of the bar and condemned in totality the politicizing of the appointments of judges.
The attempt to muzzle the bar under the guise of fighting terrorism through the Money Laundering and Anti-Terrorism Acts will not work. The request that members of the bar go to register with the government agency, Special Control Unit of Money Laundering, SCUMO, and report all transactions over $1,000 is not only an attack on the independence of the bar, but also a breach of the laws on solicitor client privilege and rules of professional conduct and legal professions. I'd like to add that judicial appointments and elevation are becoming politicized. This should not be. Judicial appointment cannot be job for the boys. It is a sacred duty, and only the best can be good enough. Henceforth, the Nigerian Bar Association will pay more than enough attention to the process, as we bear the brunt of the consequences of lack of due process. It must therefore be insulated from politics and favoritism.
This administration,
President Goodluck Jonathan, represented by his Attorney General and Minister of Justice, urged the bar and its leadership to continue to uphold its duty to enforce the rule of law.
as we focus on the theme and sub-theme of this year's conference, let us be reminded of our sacred duty to our nation, the duty to be loyal and patriotic citizens, the duty to foster national unity and cohesion, the duty to contribute to the quest for democratic consolidation, the duty to shun corruption in all its ramifications.
The Senate President, represented by Senator Victor Ndoma Egba, as well as the Speaker House of Representatives Aminu Tambuwal, in their messages assured Nigerians that they will continue to push law reforms that will strengthen the oneness of Nigerians in the face of its many challenges.
For law to achieve its objectives, its sanctions must be enforceable. It must be predictable and must be no respecter of persons, and above all must be impartial. The law must also act quickly For it is trite that justice delayed is justice denied.
That we at the House of Representatives and indeed the National Assembly are ready, willing to introduce every law reform that is necessary and capable of delivering a better Nigeria for all. In this regard, I trust that we can continue to count on your partnership at all times.
The host governor, Leo Imoke, who is also a member of the bar, urged other members of the bar to reflect on the mood of the nation during the conference and deliberate on ways towards achieving effective leadership and good governance.
As we approach the crest of a century as a nation, the examinations that are bound to arise from a conference with such an eminent and pertinent theme is an enterprise that this gathering of learned minds can indulge in and justifiably assert as time which has been spent constructively and productively.
After the week-long conference, which threw up the many challenges facing the nation, the president of the NBA, Mr. Okewale, at the close of the conference last week Friday, read out the resolutions from there, all of which were contained in a communique.
And challenge the federal government to review the strategy for fighting the menace of kidnapping and all forms of criminality to protect the lives and property of the citizens. The bar calls for a comprehensive study of the relevance of state police as a panacea for crime fighting. The association condemns criminal acts of money laundering and financing of terrorism and is willing to collaborate with all institutions established to fight the malaise as provided under the various laws in respect thereof.
You see, life has just got easier. You stay connected to Channels TV, where news and innovations are shaping our world. Simply log on to channelstv.com to get the breaking news. Browse the homepage according to what matters to you. Tap on the extended coverage of business, sports, politics, lifestyle, infotech, entertainment, health, world news, and lots more. Click on the live link and see the news in real time. Do you want to watch the latest video of the day? It's just a click away. Friend us on Facebook, YouTube, follow us on Twitter, Google+, participate in Channels TV poll and share your comments. It's a website you can talk to. Your voice will be heard. ChannelsTV.com. The news at your fingertips.
Away from the NBA conference, one other issue that hawked the headlines last week was the situation in Taraba State following the return of Governor Danbaba after 10 months of medical treatment. The scenario appears to be almost on all fours with what played out in the past as regards the health of late President Yar'Adua. There was a constitutional amendment at the time, but again we're hearing calls for the Attorney General of the Federation to step in and take steps to protect and secure the sanctity of the Constitution. My guest, Mr. Jiti Ogunye, says that despite the amendment, the Constitution is not free from subtle manipulation or even blatant abuse. The remedy, he says, lies in a democratic culture, values, morality, and ethics. I know you follow the drama that has played out since Governor Danbaba of Taraba State returned, but what do you think? Do you think that he is fit to govern?
No. It's apparent that Governor Suntai, from what we've seen, is not fit to resume the functions of the office of governor. And what is the evidence here? We saw Governor Suntai alight from the plane and the drama that has played out in Taraba State. And so we don't need a soothsayer to tell us that he's not fit. And now what we've seen is that there's been a lot of spin by his acolytes and close aides telling us that he's fit. Once there's a controversy about the medical fitness or state of a person, it's no longer a matter of the ipsy dixit of supporters or opponents. There are oral declarations or affirmations. No. It is about medical examination. And so, even for ordinary Nigerians, once you want to work somewhere, you may be physically fit, you may be outwardly fit, but the true determinant of the state of your health is a medical examination. And now, in this case, the report of the medical state, the medical report of Governor Danbaba is not available for the legislators who are in a position to accept his communication, which is transmitted to them, that is fit, and therefore they have no platform to reach a conclusion that is fit. Now it's been suggested that, like dummies, they are just there to accept a transmission that is fit, and once he says that it's fit, that's the end of the matter. I don't think that that's the end of the matter. So he's not fit, as we've seen, and therefore what ought to happen in the circumstances is for him to properly recuperate, properly convalesce, fully recover, and then, return to work when he's fit. Of course, it's possible that there could be opportunistic interventions. Opportunistic interventions are the hallmark of Nigerian politics. So you can't, find that in short supply. There will be people who want to switch allegiance. There are people who will even wish him dead. In Taraba State, there will be traitorous conduct on the part of those that he thought were his allies before.
But who now sees as their own turn to benefit?
Yes, of course there will be that. But in the midst of all this melee, in the midst of all this pandemonium, we have to focus our gaze on the rule of law and the due process and the dictates of the Constitution. So, because that's an uncharted course. Once we start discussing the politics, the divide, the religious divide in the country, in Taraba State, the political divide, the ethnic divide, and so on and so forth, you won't get out of that bind. What we need to do as citizens, as Nigerians who want peace in that state and all over the country, and not only peace, development and progress, is to focus squarely on what the rule of law says.
I know that there's been some amendments to the Constitution, especially after the issue of late President Yaradua, but it appears that we've not seen a solution that works. So what would you suggest for dealing with this issue so that perhaps after Suntai's issue is resolved one way or another, we do not have a recurrence?
Yes, there was an amendment of the relevant section, section 190 in the Constitution. But even before that amendment, political responsibility, accountability, and maturity, and good faith, and good conscience, if this had been exhibited, wouldn't have even needed that amendment in the first place. It is said that our Constitution is a very bulky document, and is very wordy and lengthy. And then people still try to then pick loopholes, exploit lacunae, inadequacies, in order to do that which they will to do. So, yes, the letters of the Constitution are very important. The Constitution ought to be well worded, ought to be well written, but that's not the problem here. So, but now there is an amendment to the effect that once the president or the governor is on vacation or is indisposed, within 21 days, he has to transmit a letter to the speaker in the case of a state, or to the speaker and senior president in the case of the federation, when we're talking about the president, indicating that he's on vacation or that he's unable to discharge the functions of his office owing to ailment. And if he doesn't do that within those 21 days, then the National Assembly or the House of Assembly of a state can then pass a resolution mandating the deputy governor, in the case of a state, to act as governor, and then vice president, in the case of the federation, to act as president. And that once the governor or the president is now fit or is returned from vacation, he can then transmit a letter to the House or to the National Assembly, as the case may be, to the effect that he is now ready. So that amendment has been done, and that amendment was, which came into effect on 6th of January 2011, in the first alteration to the Constitution, was meant principally to ensure that the kind of crisis and the political paralysis that we had when President Yar'Adua was ill, when opportunists in government, whatever kitchen cabinet, started then ruling the country without allowing the vice president to act, that we wouldn't have that kind of situation again.
Which is almost on force with what we're seeing.
Exactly. So there's been that amendment. But now, for you to know that it is not the provisions of the Constitution per se that will do the magic. Even with this amendment now, an obviously and apparently unfit governor who had been away for 10 months, just sauntered in, staged a coup against the provision of the Constitution by preemptively dissolving the executive council of the state.
The jury is still out on whether he was actually the one who did that.
But that's what he said he done, and then he sat down and he purported to be swearing in a new secretary to the state government and all that, and a new chief of staff. I was there and addressed Tarabans, by muttering some words and thanking them for their prayers and all that. At least we saw that footage on television. Now, he's done that preemptively, as I said, to forestall the possibility of the Executive Council passing a resolution under Section 189 that deals with permanent incapacity by a 2/3 majority, that, look, governor is not fit, and then allowing the Speaker of the House to set up a team of 5 persons comprising even the personal physician of the governor to verify the medical state of the governor, so that upon a verification that yes, he's truly permanently unfit, incapable of discharging the function of his office or suffering from permanent incapacity, he would then cease to be a governor. To forestall that, he dissolved the Executive Council. So if the Executive Council is not there to flag off the process, as it were, then that means down the line you can't even invoke the provision of Section 189. So thereby attempting to foist a fait accompli, not only on the Executive Council that is purportedly dissolved, but on the House of Assembly to make it impossible for the Speaker to exercise his power, and then on the state. So, and this is when that Section 190 has been amended. So, amendment per se will not guarantee that the Nigerian political class will continue to behave with responsibility.
That there is no foolproof way to check the antics of politicians when they carry out some of these gimmicks that we see?
Look, we can amend this constitution as many times as we want. Fundamentally, the constitution is faulty. We talk about the credibility of the process, that this constitution came by way of decree 24 of 1999. And so we need a makeover. We need a new constitution that will be submitted to the people of Nigeria in a referendum or in a plebiscite for adoption. Thus far, those in the National Assembly have told us that they are the sovereigns and that they can think for us. But even we take the constitution that we have, as it is, my position is that the mere letters of the constitution per se will not make politicians and political actors to be responsible. Beyond the cold letters of the constitution, the spirit behind the provisions is very important, and you can have the supremacy clause in the Constitution, Section 1, subsection 3, that says that the Constitution is supreme and all that. But you need the supremacy of morality.
That's been our interview and indeed the program for this week. If you missed any part of the program, you can watch again by logging into youtube.com/channelsweb. Please send in any comments via email or Facebook and follow me on Twitter. I'm Shola Shoyeli. Thank you for watching.